I did 3D printing. So as you guys have seen from the beginning of the video, I have made some 3D printed parts. And what these 3D printed parts do is that they redirect the Beyblade towards the center of the stadium. Now this is actually my first draft of parts right here. I didn't know what was going to work, so I decided to make a couple to see what worked best. So the first one I made right here is a pretty long one, and it's really thin in the center. The problem with this one is that the Beyblades would tend to hop over it, as they did with all of my first designs, because of one major flaw. They're way too thin. But even though that they were too thin, I got to I made multiple. It's like I made 2 of them each, so I was able to stack them on top of each other to see how they would work being thickened out. And I figured out that these thin ones here, the Beyblades would just hop over them. They wouldn't get really redirected. The thicker ones, like this, same problem. But when I got to the half ones right here, whenever I would stack them on top of each other, like stack this on top of itself, whoopsies, stack this one on top of itself, the Beyblade would actually go back towards the center of the stadium most of the time. Now, the issue with this one, which has a more curve to it, the Beyblade would still hop over it. So I came down to my perfect little design right here. The small one that just needed to be thickened. Now, I made this one too to see if it would work, but the thickening long ones don't work. This is what I finally came up with. This small little piece will actually redirect a 70-gram Beyblade back towards the center of the stadium, so it doesn't just keep circling around. And how you equip these to the stadium? Yeah, you might have thought it. You got to become Kevo, and you got to use some putty. Okay, so out of fear, out of destroying my newer stadium, I'm using my older one. So what you got to do is you got to take some putty, put that to the side there. Just put it on the flat side of the redirector, and all you got to do now is put it up on the edge here and place it down like that. And now if I take an attack type like this Cursed Satan here and launch it, normally what they would do is race across the center. But now because it hits that tab, it gets redirected most of the time back towards the center of the stadium. So what I'm going to do now for you guys is do a couple battles with the redirector in the stadium and see how it works. All right, so up first testing it out is going to be Super Hyperion and Glide Ragnarok. So you see Hyperion got up to the edge, but then got redirected back to the center there and actually knocked out Ragnarok and got a burst finish. Now, of course, you can sit there and you can use this for a stamina and an attack type, but if you want to make your battles really crazy, I'd say just use 2 attack types. And that's the problem with just being able to use a bit of putty. It will get knocked out, as you see. It doesn't work for every attack type. Take Winning Valkyrie, for example. He just kind of hops over it until he slows down quite a bit. And even then, he still just pretty much hops over it. And same with the Beyblade like Master Diabolos. The Generate driver just tends to hop right over it. And I don't think it does it any good besides, damage my drivers. So I guess the drivers I would say work the best is these wider ones at the bottom that are a bit more stationary. Like Hold, I know Hold isn't that stationary, but it works a lot better than Volcanic. And I don't know the science behind that, but it does. So I find the XT driver and the Hold driver definitely work the best for this stadium with that redirector there. I know this is my first time doing something like this, so I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you want to see me 3D print more kinds of things, leave comments below and I'll try and 3D print whatever you suggest. And I'll see you guys in the next video.